All right. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Sherry Strong, and this is Unique Genius and 33. It is February 5th, 2020. It's 11:30 Central Time, 12:30 Eastern, and I am so excited about today. We have a special guest that has just recently taken the assessment and is just, discovering something, not that he didn't know some of these things, but now he has a language and something to, I guess you could say, refer to on why he is the way he is. And so I'm going to let him actually tell a little bit more about himself. Today is the theme, connectedness. That's the theme we'll be talking about. So let me do the brief description on that theme. And then, Jamie, I'm just going to hand it over to you. Okay, there we go. I was looking for my description. Okay, so connectedness, according to Gallup, people who are exceptionally talented in the connectedness theme have faith in the links among all things. They believe there are few coincidences and that almost every event has a meaning. So I know that's the general description, Jamie, but does that sound like you already?
Absolutely. When we did it, and that was the first one that I read, I had to start laughing, because when you pick it, you're not sure really what you're going to discover. And so when I read the first thing, I started laughing.
Well, that's a good segue then. Why don't you go ahead, tell everybody who you are, what you do, where you live, and share with everybody your top 5 talent themes.
Okay, so I'm Jamie Sanders. I am the senior minister at Unity of Pensacola, in Pensacola, Florida. And I don't know if many people know what Unity is. It's a spiritual movement more than it is a religious movement. And sometimes I struggle with not liking the term Reverend because it has a connotation that some people have a bad taste about that. They grew up feeling religiously abused. And so I always go, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. And my spirituality runs along the same borders of motivation. I want to empower people. I want to encourage people to ask themselves questions. Why do I do the things that I do? Why is my life happening the way that it's happening? And so this was very interesting to me when your partner, Lori, said, she spoke at our church on Sunday. And she got a huge excitement going in our congregation. And so it's really important to me. So she was like, you've got to take the assessment. And I'm like, I really don't want to take another, but I did it Sunday morning.
You're very normal, Jamie. That's very normal.
I really another thing to do, but I did it. And I was kind of blown away. And she read the results to us Sunday night in the Super Bowl game. And so I found it very interesting. And so I'm encouraging some of the people in our congregation to take this as well, because there's things when you do it that you're going to learn about yourself that somewhere you may have thought that's who you are, but nah, it couldn't be me. I couldn't be these things. So the connectedness really hit home for me. My top 5 were, number 1 was connectedness, intellection. That's in a red flag. Input, empathy, and strategic.
Okay. Oh, I love that combination. Okay.
So,
well, wonderful. Well, welcome. We're glad you're here. Thank you for taking the time out to be here and share with people, because this is really about helping our audience and our Strong Communities members just learn more about each of these themes and what they look like, how they feel, how does it show up. So let me ask you this. Now that you have taken this and you understand it, a little bit, what do you love about your talent theme? Lori.
I think it kind of anchors you into thinking that you are, society tells us this is who you are. This is who you should be, which I don't like that should business,
Right.
Because when we tell someone what they should be doing, who they should be, I think the normal response is we're hearing criticism, that I'm not enough.
Yes.
So when you do this, you begin to understand where you're coming from, but you can't always define it. It's a feeling. But I think when you do this assessment, it gives you clarity, and there's nothing more important, whether it's about your spirituality, what, you
Mm-hmm.
know, body, mind, spirit. When you
Yes.
have that connection, it empowers you to,
Yes.
you know, we all talk about who have I come here to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then some people go, I don't have a clue who I've come here to be. But when you
Right.
do the assessment, you go, you know, the whole thing for me was, when talking to Lori, was about building communities,
Right.
building strength, whether it's in your spiritual community, whether it's in your business, or even your personal life,
Right.
building that strength. So for number one, the connectedness, the thing that really struck a chord to me is the first thing it says is in connectedness that you believe that things happen for a reason. And I'm like, well, number one, my spirituality, I
Yeah.
don't believe in accidents. I don't
Right.
believe things just happen. There was a minister, Reverend Johnny Coleman, who I love. She was a unity minister. And I remember a quote, and she said, things don't just happen, they
Mm-hmm.
happen just. And I had to read,
Oh,
you know,
oh, I'm
see that
stealing
over
that.
and over.
Okay.
And so people,
That's good.
I don't know what that means. Well, you know, I got it. It means that things aren't just happening in chaos. The universe wasn't created in chaos, whether we see it that way or not.
Right.
But there is order, and that means there must be order in me. But
Mm-hmm.
somewhere I've gotten off track. I got out of
Right.
alignment, who I've come here to be. So the connectedness is, you know, we meet someone and we go, oh, I love this person. Or we
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, I can't stand this person. So
Mm-hmm.
there's something there, and we have to go, what are they here to teach me? What
Mm-hmm.
am I here to teach them? And how can
Mm.
we both enhance each other?
I love that answer. And I love connectedness is your number one. So what we believe is that these are so innate in how we act and behave and think, and that you cannot not think that way. So even if you weren't a unity pastor, you know, even if you were an IT guy, you know, in Alaska, the exact opposite of what you're doing, if we consider an opposite, right? Like, and you still had connectedness as number one, you would speak in this language. Like you are oozing who you are. And you happen to have a profession that is, it feeds who you are as well. So,
Exactly.
I mean, as I'm listening to you, I'm like, you're playing you really, really good, Jamie. That's fabulous. I'm excited for you because you could tell that you love that. And you're like, when I asked, you know, what do you love about your talent? It's because that's who you are. And what a great way to express it. So let me ask you this though. So we also know our biggest strength. So we believe in focusing on what is right with people and not to ever, you know, fix our weaknesses. We have to manage them. And if we overuse, just like any talent, right? If you overuse it, it can become a weakness as well, because then it's still just talent. It's not a strength unless it's productive for you and those around you. So knowing this information now, what kind of drives you crazy about connectedness?
Okay. You ready for this?
Yes, I am.
Nobody's in my office. You know, I think it is that, you know, people forget that when you are the leader of something, the spiritual community, a CEO of a company, there's a lot on you that people will come to you and just, you know, it's rare that you get people to go, hey, how are you? Would you
Mm-hmm.
like a hug today? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You're the one that's always going, are you okay? Are you okay? And so when I have to do the thing, I always say that, you know, life is about balance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You have to
Yeah.
balance those scales, and there has to be a time to play and a time to rest, a time to laugh, time to cry, and to go. Sometimes you just want to go sit down and just be,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and not have to hear. Today, I just want to go breathe, or I want to go walk on the beach, or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So the thing is, but my passion is being there to empower people. You know, I
Right.
don't let people come in and just dump. And, you know, I'll say, do you
Right.
want me to listen, or do you want me to respond? And
Mm.
sometimes they'll tell you, I just want you to listen. So I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, um, you know, before you go around and telling people what they should be doing, and I
Mm-hmm.
always say that word should is not one of the greatest things, but
Right.
you could say, have you ever considered? And
Mm-hmm.
so I have to do that for myself. Sometimes, hey, Jamie, have you ever considered actually
Mm-hmm.
taking a day off and turning your phone off?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that can drive
Yeah.
you crazy. But sometimes I feel guilty if I'm not readily there for someone. And so learning to balance that is about that self-care.
Yeah, I can totally see being wired that way, as much as it's who you are and it's what makes you awesome. Like you said, there is a balance, and balance is such a fickle word too, right? Like, because balance today, what we need today to feel balanced and what we need tomorrow to feel balanced could be two different things. Like, I could feel balanced working 16 hours today, but that doesn't mean I'm going to feel balanced working 16 hours tomorrow, right? It's such a fragile state, what that whole word balance. So, oh, I absolutely love that. So let me ask you this. Looking back and knowing now that there's this language and you have this terminology to describe who you are and how you think, we believe you were born with these talents. Like, this is how you were born, and either as you grew up, they either became raw or you refined them. So, if it wasn't that way, siblings would have the same top five, and if it was all nature, but it's not. So with that, thinking back now and knowing this is who you are, what's one of the earliest memories you have where you go, oh, that was so connectedness, when you were a child or in high school?
Well, when I can still remember it very clearly. When I was in elementary school, being on the playground and all the other kids are running around playing on the monkey bars, sliding down the slide, I can vividly see sitting around the teachers, and the teachers are talking and telling me their problems.
Oh.
And I mean, it felt natural. I didn't really feel like I was one of the kids.
Right.
And so I can remember that. And, several years ago, also, I had the opportunity to spend the day with Dolly Parton's sister. She did my TV show. She wrote a book, and I spent the day with her, and we met for coffee first, in Pigeon Forge, and she just started talking and talking, and she goes, I can't believe I'm telling you all of this stuff. I don't tell people this. and I was just like, you start seeing the pattern. When Lori was here this past week, we talked about, patterns that you'll go, I've always drawn this kind of person to me, or I've always repelled this kind of person. So you realize there is an underlying theme going on. And the sad part is when we never seek something greater. And I'm not talking about religion.
Right.
I'm talking about there is an inherent spirit within us that says, I am seeking something more. Like I said in the beginning, who have I come here to be? I didn't come here to play the broken game.
Right.
I always say, to our people, I say, please quit talking about being broken, because I don't believe anybody's broken. I may have been bruised and I may have been battered, but baby, I'm not broken.
Right.
I haven't finished cleaning up my mess.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So absolutely.
Right. So, I mean, when I hear that, the broken, everybody, they write songs about you're broken. Quit saying that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's totally from the mouth of somebody who has connectedness. Again, you are a poster person for somebody who has connectedness. I love it. And the fact that you do have some insight and wisdom just about being, right? And it doesn't matter what our number one talent theme is. Mine is strategic. I cannot not be that way.
Well,
right?
Let me ask you this question, because you're asking me questions. So
sure. All right, let's do it.
For you, when I hear that word, I'm almost thinking like robotic, but I know after reading the description, because that's one of mine, that's not what it's about. So what is it about for you to be strategic?
Okay. Well, I'll share. So strategic for me, now here's the thing. It's really about seeing patterns very quickly. Like, I can see patterns or paths. Now mine shows up here's where it's a little bit different. So like somebody with connectedness and strategic, Lori will see the ifs, ands, and all the what ifs. I instantly, because my strategic, and this is what we talk about, the dynamics of how themes play, is because my strategic is supported with achiever. So it's about getting it done. So I see the paths and I want to get it done. So I instantly, while it's I'm instantly eliminating things, especially if I already have experience in it. So I could come across a little bit like a Debbie Downer very quickly, because I am like, okay, we'll do that, but we're not doing this, 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 and this because, and I just instantly do it. And so for me, it's about seeing a path and knowing the big picture and knowing that, okay, I know we're going to get this. I know how to get it done. That's what follows it. Yours may show up differently because of how yours is lined up. It sounds like it's a really good foundation for your other 4. So you have connectedness where you see all the possibilities. Then you have intellection where you probably need time to go think and think about all those possibilities. And it's not that you're being aloof or dismissive to people. But they may not know that because they don't understand this language and they don't understand how to accept other people yet for fully who they are. But you probably, I'm guessing, need time to think about all those possibilities, and you need your alone space.
Yes.
And then you said you had input. Is that next?
Yes.
Okay, see, an input then is about gathering information. So now that you're thinking about it, the input typically is about gathering information, not just to have information, but so you can give it away. So for you, you see the possibilities, you're going to think about it. And then I always like to equate input with people. The cartoons, like where you have the filing cabinet and they pull it out and it's 4 miles long. Yeah, you have this filing cabinet, especially in your field of expertise, that is just, it just keeps going and going. So now that you've thought about it, you'll go back and look in all your files. Like so when you said, I ask people, do you want me to respond or listen? That to me, that shows, of course, some wisdom in who you are as well, because you naturally probably have something that you could help them. And if they may not want it, but you have it. And if you don't even have it instantly, you're going to go, you've seen it somewhere. You can know who to find. You have somebody to connect them to, something to connect them to, a book. Like you just naturally know that. And then you have what's between input and strategic?
Empathy.
Empathy. Oh, see, and empathy then is, right, you will feel, and I think that's where you said the boundaries. You're going to feel, if those people are coming to you, you probably feel it more strongly than they do. Right. And because you have information and you see the big picture and you've probably thought about it in the past. So my guess is strategic is your governor. And that's what helps you. And I'm just making some assumptions here just based on experience and coaching people. That strategic for you probably does help you come up with questions like, do you want me to listen or respond? Your strategic for you is probably your governor. It helps you keep on a path. And that's probably what drives you to get some things done, because you really do want to achieve world peace. So I'm just guessing.
Yeah. So the question for me, because I'm thinking, as my spiritual community, because some of them are going to be doing the upcoming call.
Yeah.
Video chat, because they are interested. My thing is, like, I look at this and I go, when they get this information, because immediately, like I said, when I saw the one about the intellect, I was just like, I don't think, I always go, you can either dwell in here or you can dwell in here.
Right.
But 2 worlds meet.
Yeah.
Boom. I tell people, they'll go, you want to know what I think? No, I don't want to know what you think. I want to know what you feel.
Uh-huh.
But be taken back by that, because I go, if we're stuck in our head, somewhere we've misconstrued what the heart is trying to say. But you know what I mean? So when these people do this, do they discover, being blown away? Do you find that most people, when they actually do it, that they're like, holy moly, I had no idea?
Well, they have the same response you did. Like, oh, really? Another assessment? And then they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I didn't know I could learn. I say we can learn more about being me. So yes, to answer your question, the other thing is, I'm listening to you when you said, I don't want to hear what you think. I want to hear how you feel. Again, that's a combination of your intellect, connectedness, and empathy. And your strategic has taught you how to come up with those questions. right? So, I mean, what you have been so blessed to have a really good governor, it sounds like, and you've embraced it without even really, having this terminology, but you've understood that now you can intentionally, and that's what will help, the people that you're surrounded with who are you're introducing this to is will help them also, kind of like a 5-card draw. How can you lean on that strategic more often? And for you and being the leader in your community, this approach, I really am confident that's going to help you actually go, oh man, it's just going to open up, because of your connectedness, it's going to open up this whole other world of questions, and you're strategic to come into play on how to help your own, the people that you're leading. I think it's just, you're going to have so much fun with it, because you really will have a way to empower and to inspire, like you said, all those people you're working with to be the person they're here to be.
So Sherry, the thing I didn't even think to ask Lori, because we were running around the whole time, is like, so if you did this assessment now, and say you did it 2 years from now, do they change?
Good question. I love this. Okay, so here's what happens. First of all, we tell people to wait at least 2 years before you take it again. And it's because Dr. Clifton believes, if this is who we innately are, let's focus on what we do well. And if we just even focus on our number one talent, if you just use connectedness the rest of your life, the odds of you achieving success, becoming that person you're here to be, is way higher than if we did it. So that's the first thing. The other thing is Gallup used to put percentages behind it. So it would say, Jamie uses connectedness, 32% of the time, intellection, 8%, and then we go all down 34. And what would happen is people would get hung up on that. And they would go, well, I use my intellection more than 8%. I have actually empathy for me is number 34. And I'm a pastoral counselor. So if I would have saw that, I would have been like, I have empathy, dang it, Right. So it's just that the way I achieve showing empathy to people is different than somebody like yourself who naturally feels it. I feel it too, but it doesn't, that's in fact what I believe makes me good, because I'm able to go home at night and I don't get swallowed up with all the stories. Right. So man, what a blessing. But if I didn't understand that, again, we live in a deficit-based world. I wouldn't have maybe done it. So they used to show percentages. And what will happen is as we refine our talents, right, they can move up and down. Typically, it's like 1 to 10. So I took it in 2006 as a flavor of the month training at the corporation I was working at the time. And I didn't take it again until 2016, when I actually worked with Gallup for a year. Same top 5 in the same order. Divorce, changed jobs, moved, all this stuff, right? I is who I is, right? Now, so now other people, though, once in a while, they'll shift. And it makes sense, because now I bet you if I took it now, because I've studied it so much and I've refined them, some of them might shift in that top 10, but it's just that percentage of how much I'm using it right now. But they usually, very rarely does something in your top 5 drop down to the bottom 5. That just, we're innately wired this way. This is how we were made. Right. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it dawned on me when we were talking, you were saying something and I just went, well, I wonder if I do it later down the road, if I'm going to see that, I'm not all about age. I always say as the years go by, I just get wiser, not older.
Yes.
But you do wonder, as you get wiser, as
yeah. And we just call that you're refined with them. So you have more options, right? Because we do get wiser. So we can say, hey, you know what, how can I lean on, like I have input number 6. How can I lean on input a little bit more? I have information and I use it strategically with my relationships. I like to say I'm a 5-minute expert in everything. I just know enough so I can talk good, but get me out of there after 5 minutes, because they're going to be found out. Right? But how can you do that? So yes, as you refine these and you work on these, then you can refine them. And so you might use, because you're being intentional about it.
Okay.
So awesome. Well, I love this conversation. So let me, if you thought of, now I wish we could give this assessment to everybody. Now you know why Lori was so, Jamie, you've got to take this. If we could give it to, somebody that's either famous or even a fictional character, and you think about connectedness, who do you think, if you could make that assumption, who do you think has connectedness in their top 5, and why?
Well, I already said the name once. I'm a little fanatical about Dolly Parton.
Uh-huh.
I think, not because, I just think she's magic, and I've never heard a nasty thing about her, because
Yeah.
she always seems to be fully present in the moment, which is something I think we could all aspire to, is being fully present. Sometimes when you're stressed for time, people are lined up wanting to speak to you. I almost go into panic mode because I see people walk away when they didn't have enough time, and I feel like I let them down. And so you
Yeah.
go, that you can be 100% present with that person for that hug.
Right.
You know what I mean? That you look in their eyes when they're wanting to tell you something, and not worry that I do still worry there's 15 people behind you wanting,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
have to tell me how you made those biscuits. Really, you don't. You know what I mean? You can eat them. So
Uh-huh.
I love that whole thing. And I think Dolly is always, that everything I've seen, even talking with family members, that
She's
she really
amazing.
is who she says she is. You know what I mean?
Yes. Authentic. Excuse me. So now that we talked a little bit about how, your talents play together. And I said strategic is kind of like your governor. I'm just guessing on that. But how do you think your connectedness plays? How does it help you now that you understand you have intellection and input? How do they play together? Or maybe do you ever feel that one of them butts up against the other one? So like my achiever and my learner can butt up against each other, because my achiever wants to be done with learning, wants to have the assignment done. And my learner is like, wait, I really love this subject matter. I want to extrapolate everything out of this. So sometimes they can, rub each other. Do you have two that you feel might rub each
Well,
other?
I think the intellection, and the first line in mine says you like to think. Well, I do like to think, but you have your preconditioned ideas about people who are intellectual, and you think they're always just, nobody cares how many PhDs you have. Can you have a conversation over dinner? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the input, that you're inquisitive. And I was like, I would not have thought that would have gone with input, but I got it. When I read it, and the thing that Lori and I laughed about, she was in my home, and it looks like a flipping museum with all the stuff, you know what I mean? And it said you're a collector of things. And I was like, what is that supposed to mean? What are you trying to say? So I can see where I do like to think, not about, I've always said I'm not one of those people who cares how the toaster works. Some people have to take the toaster apart to see what makes
Right.
Just shoot the toast and the Pop-Tart out, will you?
Yes.
But there's people that want to see how. I'm not that person.
Right.
But I do like to think, but usually it's self-reflection.
Yeah.
Why did I do that? Why would I react? I say you can respond or you can react. Why did I react to that? What pushed
Yes.
the button? So yeah, I do. I see it. And yet at first when I was hearing them, I was like, well, I don't know. And now the more I think about it.
Yeah. What you have to also teach people is that these titles, they're actually registered titles. So intellection is a registered title, like of a book. And so it's not necessarily what we might think of a definition in the dictionary. So I'm glad that you're seeing that you want to read through these definitions to truly understand what do they mean. Do you think your connectedness shows up differently in the role that you have and then at home? Or are you pretty refined with your connectedness in both, in all the roles that you play?
I think it's always present. I try to, in my connectedness is, and I'll go, the reason, this close circle of friends, that someone's acting out a certain way. Because I always say, we never know what people have lived through. Some
Right.
people can't wait to tell you all their woes. They get their banjo out, they write a song. And then you got people that'll never tell a living soul what they've endured or what they've survived. So I think that connected feeling is, I don't know your story, but sometimes you have to say to people, but your behavior is not acceptable to me. I will
Right.
be here to love. I played a song Sunday in the service when Lori was speaking, and it said, I believe this belongs to you. And I mean,
Mm.
she and I both just were side by side. We turned to look at each other. We both had tears in our eyes about, this isn't my stuff, but I will be here to love you and support you. That's the connectedness for me.
Yeah. And it's who you are. I love it. Well, we're wrapping up. See, this goes so fast. We could talk. I think we could probably talk for at least another 30 minutes. So, what do you wish people knew now that you understand this is your connectedness, this is who you are? If somebody doesn't have it though, like this, that's not their natural way of thinking. What do you wish people knew about the talent theme connectedness?
I think a lot of us are intimidated to show our feelings, to
Mm-hmm.
reach out. I mean, one of my things, growing up was I didn't want to be rejected.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, when I was going out and partying, I never sent a drink to anybody because what if they said no?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
never made first moves other because I was afraid they'd go, what? Nobody's
Mm-hmm.
interested in you. So there's a thing about building your connectedness and realizing that really we're more alike than we are different.
Yes.
Just communicate it differently. So I
Yes.
think that's the thing, is to realize if you look for the similarities and not the differences,
Yes.
it changes everything. It is a
Mm.
changer.
Yes, it does. Well, I just want to thank you for taking the time to do this today. This has been wonderful. And I know our members and our audience um, are going to appreciate this as they're watching this. And of course, we look forward to hearing. I know you are going to actually be doing a workshop, it sounds like, in the next few weeks or the next month. And we can't wait to hear how that goes. And as you deep dive into this, language and how it can help you serve your members. I am so excited to hear that journey and watch that journey, even over the course of the next 12 months, because Jamie, I think you're a perfect person to take this and utilize it in a way that's really going to empower people and serve the people that you love there at a whole nother level, if that can even happen. So at least you're going to have another tool for your toolbox. So we just want to thank you for being here and doing this. And we'll make sure we get the link out to you. And anybody out there on the phone want to unmute themselves, say hi, ask a question, or you could do a group chat if you want. Okay, we'll see here. Okay, well, we're going to leave it at that. And we'll thank you again, Jamie. It was so nice discussing this with you. And hopefully I'll see you soon as well.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye, Jamie.
Bye.